I'm going to call the meeting to order. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just looking at the clock. At this time, it is a special council meeting. We cannot add anything to the agenda or delete. Well, we could delete, but can't add. What I would like is an adoption of the agenda, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded. The next is our consideration of order to demolish for the 11984 Highway 217 Seabrook, and the second will be at 29 Jim Cossaboom Road, Tiverton, Nova Scotia. Could I have Alfred Doucette, Administrator of Dangerous and Unsightly, come forward? That's for you to talk into. Not move away. Just thought I'd get that out.
I think you fellas talk too low anyway.
I got it closer.
Really?
Yes, it's being recorded.
Really? Loud? Swallow it next time.
Okay.
Okay, I guess the first one was the, this was in here. Yeah, I guess like every other dangerous and unsightly complaints are filled out and handed off to our department for consideration. Like any other, an inspection is made on the property, and determination has to be made. What procedure, what direction I'm going to ask to go to. When I looked at this property, under dangerous and unsightly premises, they do have a defined term of what is dangerous and unsightly. So I kind of used this a lot. A lot of things fell in this one. One of the things was the definition also includes property, a building, or structure that is in ruinous or dilapidated condition, which I found this one fell under. The condition of which seriously depreciates the value of the land or buildings in the vicinity. I can imagine this would fall there too, and is in such a state of non-repair as to be no longer suitable for human habitation or business purposes. Anybody's been around this little green building, say that's pretty well so. Is alluring to children who may play there to their danger. It's another consideration. Is also unsightly in relation to neighboring properties because the exterior finish of the building or structure is not maintained, hasn't been maintained quite a while. And it could also be a fire hazard to itself or the surrounding lands. People do go in these buildings, you never know what's going to happen. The way people are these days. So that fell, it ticked off a lot of boxes, and after looking at it, my determination was it was beyond repair. The building is quite, as you can see by the pictures, it is quite gone. To me, I mean, the side of the wall was pushed out. I mean, that's a lot of structural damage. I can imagine it just sitting on the ground. So I guess that's where I ended up with the recommendation. Well, I recommend that we go for demolition and clean up of the property at 11984 Seabrook.
Okay, and 29 Jim Cossaboom Road.
29 Jim Cossaboom Road. This also with complaints coming in. Numerous complaints on this one also, and it also had its same issues with it. When I first looked at it, it met a lot of the requirements as the same one, where we had, it was in a ruinous state. look at the pictures that we passed out, we had a lot of siding that was rotted out, gone. You look at the front with the deck is totally rotted out. You can tell some of the beams underneath have structural damage. The building had the electricity removed quite a while ago, so it had no electricity in it. The roof was pretty bad also. If you look at this is the front of the building. I mean, the windows are old. I mean, you can imagine, I can imagine what it looks like inside. Whenever you have a bad roof and we get a lot of rain or moisture passing through the roof, you always have to wonder how much mold or dampness has passed through there and what would, is it livable in there? The brush around it had grown considerably around it. I mean, the cleanup it would take more than just a cleanup. It's situated in and around 3 other properties, which are all around it. So the other properties are more or less looking at that constantly. The roof is bad. The chimney, parts of the chimney is, debatable. At least one of them were. I look at those buildings, and from the outside, like I said, the inside has to be in some condition. I couldn't get inside. But it had been so many years since that was used, a number of years had not been used. I took that picture from a distance. On the other side of it, the land, there's not a whole lot of land on it. And I looked at it and I said, well, even if, somebody came in and said, well, I'm going to fix this up and I'm going to rent it out or live in it. Well, to me, that's a lot of money, but I didn't want to spend the money. But on the other hand is, where's the septic system? I see there was a drilled well. I wonder where the septic system is. Before I would issue a building permit to do that, I would be interested to find out where the septic system is. Water, I mean, you're right in a swamp in there. I mean, that's a swampy area. You've got a brook running through there. Taking all that in consideration, and like I said, it's going to fall in where it's going to depreciate the value of the lands or buildings around it. Well, I can imagine it would. I mean, there's no debating that. And there's always the danger. I know when I went in, there was concern that we had animals in there living in the basement, raccoons, various other animals. I guess it's just beginning to be an eyesore that really I didn't know where to start to have it repaired. Cost-wise, money. I mean, I guess you spend $1 million, but nobody's going to do it. I said the best thing for that building that's been there so long now, that the best thing is to go for demolition also and clean the property out and go from there. So that was my recommendation for 29 Castle Boom Road also.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now I will ask Churchill Ashford if you'd like to come up and discuss anything about these 2 properties.
Basically, I have no comment. But there is one concern that I would like to have answered, and that is if you hire a contractor to tear these places down, the cost is recovered through taxes. What happens if you find contaminated soil and the contractor has to deal with that? Is that also covered under recoverable through the tax system?
It's the person who owns the property, so their taxes will be responsible.
I think the question goes to if after a certain period of time that you haven't done it yourself, then after the time frame has expired, then council has the authority to go in and get prices on having a contractor do that. And they would be responsible for demolishing the building and taking the material away. You still own the property after that. And the cost of that
I realize that, but
I
what
don't know,
happens?
the contractor would not be the person who would determine whether there's contaminants or not.
No.
Their responsibility would be simply to demolish the building and take the material away and to clean up whatever material is there.
All right, but on the cleanup, okay, you discover that there is contaminated soil. And as we both know, contaminated soil recovery is very expensive. So is that covered under the Municipal Government Act, that you keep that cost directly to that piece of property and nothing else?
Again, that would have to be determined whether or not the contractor himself would make that decision. If it depends on what the future use for that property is. If there's more excavation and it's discovered that there's contaminated property, the owner would be responsible for whatever the Department of Environment determines. We're not going to go in there and do any testing. The contractor wouldn't go in there and do any testing as far as contaminated soil. So we would simply be, the contractor would simply be responsible for tearing down the building and removing the property. We don't go digging or doing any type of testing of the soil that's there.
So in other words, the contractor, if he notices contaminated soil or anything like that, he can just cover it over. See, the point that I'm trying to make is, you're hiring the contractor, all right, to come in on a piece of property for which you are going to maybe pay that contractor from the sale of that property. Okay?
We're not taking the property.
No. Yes, you will take the property if I don't pay the taxes or I don't pay the contractor's
yes.
bill. Right?
Right.
So what I am saying is, does that cover the recovery of contaminated soil? Because none of us knows what's on that property
I
or
can
any of
answer
these
that, I
properties,
don't know.
right? So before you make your decision to tear these properties down, I would like that clarified.
We have nothing to do with, it's only to demolish if that's the decision of this council. If I've got this understood, it goes to the person has so many days to have their property demolished.
Right.
If they do not,
Yep.
then the municipality takes over, hires a contractor.
Right.
The contractor demolishes, removes the material, takes it to the designated spots that are supposed to be taken, and that's put against the taxes.
That's
Okay.
where the dangerous and unsightly ends.
That's it.
So in other words, basically what you're saying is yes. Because
We're saying,
you're saying that you're going to tear down the building and remove the material, all right? What I am asking is whether that includes contaminated soil.
we don't know. We have nothing to do with contaminated soil, is what I'm saying. We have nothing to do with contaminated soil. What we're doing is a demolish, if it happens.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
Okay. So thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to?
What's the usual time limit when a person doesn't pay their taxes? What is your usual time limit for putting those properties for sale?
3 years.
3 years? Okay, I thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
We'll probably be seeing each other again.
I'm sure. Okay, at this time, council has heard from the administrator. You've also heard from the property owner. What is the decision of council? First, on Highway 217-11984, Seabrook, Nova Scotia.
I agree with our employee of the municipality, and I'd like to see it rectified, demolished. I guess, what is it, 30 days is usually the...
Usually 30 days, isn't it?
That's up to council.
30 days.
Council, it's 30 days. I'd like to make a motion that it be rectified or demolished within 30 days. Is that right? Would that be
Is that the
way-
prop?
Which one?
The
No, but what do you want it to be rectified, or do you?
Demolished.
Demolished, don't say
Demolished.
rectified.
Rectified by
Demo-
demolition.
Yes, rectified by demolition within 30 days. That would be 11984. And can I include the other one
No,
in this?
no,
Okay,
separate. Highway 217, Seabrook, Nova Scotia.
Yes.
Is there a seconder to that motion?
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Next, 29 Jim Cossaboom Road, Tiverton, Nova Scotia.
I'd like to see this rectified by demolition, being demolished within 30 days. The address is 29 Jim Costa Road, Tiverton, Nova Scotia.
Is there a seconder? Oh, Albert?
Have a seconder and then have discussion.
Yeah. Albert? Okay, so would you
Yep.
change the 45?
Taking the advice of our administrator for dangerous and unsightly, I would amend that motion to be 45 days to rectify it via demolition.
Is that okay? Jimmy?
Question. We wanted to invest the money in that property to repair it to a good state. Would he be allowed to do that?
No,
You know?
no.
Well, I think
Not from what we've just said. We are saying demolish.
that's what we
And Alfred has already said, the administrator's already said it's not repairable.
Yeah, $1 million.
Not with our motion.
he's not now.
No.
See, he's not even allowed to do anything to it then, except for tearing it apart.
Right.
The opportunity for him, if he had a plan to rectify by repairing it, his
Should've.
opportunity was just now.
Was now.
To tell us, and then council would have been able to decide at that point whether or not what his plan was would have been considered reasonable.
All right.
We've done that in the past.
Okay. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, we did that in Mount Pleasant.
Second.
All right, it was seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Next, and if you guys want to leave, you don't have to stay and visit with us. I really appreciate your time. Oh, you guys can stay. I just met the staff. They don't usually like this. Yeah.
Oh, he is, or?
Well,
He
he has,
doesn't-
Alan, I should say, he has 30 days. And at the end of 30 days, if it is not done, then we go in and do it. So it's after. Well, I just want, oh, we get it together right away. You're welcome. Okay, could I have someone move for Dan to come forward?
I'd like to move for Dan Harvey to come forward.
Seconder? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? All righty, Dan.
Thanks. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be able to speak to council about what I think is a really exciting economic development opportunity for our area. Just a bit of background. Back when I was with the Business Retention Expansion Program with the RDA, we were interviewing people There's a couple of repetitive themes kept coming forward. People in our fishing industry that had refrigeration-type facilities were being held to a higher standard by government, and generally that standard meant that they had to do a lot of investment to keep their facilities going when it comes to refrigeration and whatnot. And a lot of them, quite frankly, because of difficulty in accessing capital, were very reluctant to do that. As well, I would get calls from time to time from people in business saying, do you have, or do you know where I can get my hands on 2,000 or 3,000 square foot of temporary storage facility space? And invariably the answer was no, okay, because we simply didn't have any. So fast forward to about a year or so ago when Deputy CEO and I were discussing the facility at Surrey that he had the opportunity to visit, and I'll show you that there now.
Did you get the opportunity as well, Dan, to go?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
No, but I had a great briefing from Jeff. So on the screen there, we see a facility that's in Surrey, PEI. It's owned and operated by the Eastern Fishermen's, I think, Cooperative Limited is the official name. It's a relatively new facility, about $4 million that they had to construct it. Whoops, go right here with the thing. These are some pictures that Jeff shared from the tour. As you can see, it's all brand new, shiny and clean. It's huge in size. It has facilities for handling of fresh caught fish, and as well, they turn a lot of it into bait. And the neat thing is, if you read the label there, if people have certain, it's all stored like with their name on it, and they can use it whenever they see fit. So great system for keeping track of who owns what. Once again, just to show you the capacity of the thing. The amazing thing, this is a pretty good picture. You see the size of it. It's huge, and it's just chock-a-block full. The people that operate it have communicated to the Deputy CEO that they're actually considering an expansion after only 2 years, and primarily their clientele is fisheries based, and I understand they do have a smattering of agriculture clients as well. So as you can see, it's all just the state of the art here in terms of you get a sense here from looking at the infrastructure here that it uses a lot of energy. So if this project was to take place in the Digby area, I would highly recommend a greater emphasis on renewable energy type resources to make it more sustainable. I don't think that was their focus at the time. They were the beneficiary of a lot of money, and I think they were able to get it built in the Cadillac style as a result of that. So as we said, who would use such a facility as this here? As I said, people with the old storage systems that really can't afford to or don't have enough business to justify making additional investments on that. Temporary storage issues. This is one I've heard repeatedly. So like when a certain type of fish is being caught, everybody catches it all the same time, whether it's herring for bait, and invariably, because of the glut and when things run, it puts a lot of pressure on storage. And this is one here too. Agriculture is not a big focus in Digby County as some regions, but I would submit to you that is changing. I'm seeing a lot of crops being planted, blueberries that are going to be harvested, and there's an interest in hops. So I would suggest to you that going forward, the agriculture sector might be a good user for this type facility.
Did you say hop?
Yes,
I thought that was beer.
it is. But the plant itself, after they harvest it, they have to they put it in, they crush it up and dry it and put it in pellets.
Oh,
And
okay.
that actually has to be kept stored.
Oh, okay. That is what I was visualizing, so.
Yeah, and like I say, that's just one example. I think berries is certainly another one.
Dan, is this frozen? Would the tops and things be frozen, or is it just storage?
Frozen. Yeah, you raise a good point, Councillor. So when I say cold storage, we're actually talking part refrigerated and part frozen. I should have clarified that at the outset. My apologies.
Not all frozen.
Yeah. No, it's not all frozen. Yeah, like I say, some things just need to be chilled, keep the product quality there, and other stuff like hops, you actually freeze it and ship it and they thaw it out and use it. So yeah, potential users again, harvesters for outside the region, particularly in fisheries. You'll see people come away from far away as Newfoundland to they'll buy quota from people that have licenses in our area, and they'll fish them. But after they catch the load, what do you do with it? If you don't own a facility here close by, you have to store it somewhere. And so that's an obvious use. Bait is a big commodity for a facility like this, particularly with our lobster industry, which is as strong or stronger, I guess, than even in Surrey, part of PEI there. So bait, I think, by report, was about 40% of the income at the Surrey-type facility, and I think it could be at least that here. Just to go back a bit, we're seeing now, even within the fisheries sector, people, particularly some of our largest processors, struggling to have space. We go to some of these facilities, and you'll see like 3 and 4 reefers parked there all the time, and that's an indication that we don't have enough space, right? It's also not a very efficient way to run an operation, quite honestly. Use way more energy and cost if you have a reefer versus a centralized system. So I think there'll be a lot of interest there. As well, we hear stories of people who when they have a lot of stuff to store, that they might subcontract or lease space, like they're down the road somewhere. And once again, when you have your assets all split up like that, it's very, very difficult to manage your inventory when it's all spread all over the place. So there's a lot of natural conglomerations there. So this is what we're asking for your approval on, is a work plan that I've drafted. The first steps would be, obviously, for me to obtain funding. Presently, as you know, you have me under contract for 22 hours a week. Part of the I guess, the point for consideration here today would be, if you endorse this project, how much of my time do you think would be reasonable to spend on a project like this? Once we get the funding, I would project manage this on behalf of the Digby Development Agency. I would hire a research associate. Our way we would gather the information here would be, we would actually hire somebody to go in the field, meet with the plant owners, and ask them a whole series of questions about the age of the facilities, the type of species and crops that they carry, and so on. Because nobody likes being surveyed by email or by phone, so we think this is the only way to get good data collection. And as well, too, some people might have confidentiality concerns about this kind of activity, because it's a very competitive business. So the research associate would actually give people a signed confidentiality agreement, and invariably, it's my experience that, talking to people, you learn more than simply by email, right? We would certainly form a project committee that would be a mixture of government and industry, so people feel that they're kept well appraised all throughout the process and that they have buy-in. I'll put the next bullet here, industry association work. To me, it would be essential that whether it's Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture, Nova Scotia Fish Packers Association, I think that the step that I would take would be to engage those umbrella-type organizations, such that when the associate went out to the field, it was no big surprise. It was something that their association was aware of, that they supported, and then they blessed. And I think that people would get much better response from a surveyor at that point in time.
Sales association as well, you've got CRA in Middleton that has cold storage for their own purposes, and they supply stovies and whatever. And then you got your superstore, those chains. I don't know where they bring their stuff in from, but I know.
You touched on a good point. And that's really the objective of this study. We don't really know what the true demand for this type of facility is. You just thought of something right there I hadn't even considered, quite honestly. But in short answer, I would say maybe, because you just gave a specific example. So then we go out to the field, and we meet people, we ask them questions, and then the data comes in, and myself as project manager would collect it. And the big thing is based on the feedback that people give you, factual feedback, is like what is the demand. it's a big stretch from me gathering all this anecdotal evidence from people saying, gee, I think that's a good idea, people actually putting $4 million on the table and investing in building a facility. So you need a really good demand study here, and the series of questions we would ask people would certainly tell us whether or not it would fly or not. Okay? As well, based on what the demand was in fisheries or agriculture or some combination thereof, that would obviously impact how you built the thing, the design of it, how much space do you give to fish handling, and how much space do you give to berry storage, and what do you need for conveyors and ramps and the whole design type thing of that. So for that kind of part, for that part of it, if it said that it was viable to do, I would actually engage a technical consultant, somebody like Stantec or J.D. Lindsay, who built the one in Surrey, to give us an estimation of what the cost to do a facility would actually be. And then I would take those numbers and work it out and say, okay, based on the demand, and here's the cost, and some kind of projection of ongoing operating costs, you know, how much would you have to charge per square foot if you were a user to make this thing go? So that's the kind of numbers that I'm capable of doing that part, but not the technical design side. And that's pretty much it. What I'm proposing is that if you endorse this, that I would do this on behalf of the Digby Development Agency, such that you would own the information at the end of it. Okay, you know, our pitch to government has been the Digby is the best central spot for users between Yarmouth and Kings County, and it is. You know, we pitched the benefit of being close to a transportation link with the ferry. We have a natural cluster here of good, strong fishing industry, you know. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have it here. I would estimate that, you know, it would probably, post-construction phase, you know, maybe be 20 or 30 jobs, and probably high degree of seasonality, you know. But it would be, I think a marvelous boon here. The support we've had so far, we pitched this to agriculture, and they love it. We pitched this to the minister, Mayor Cleveland and I did, Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture, and he has endorsed it as well. Nova Scotia Fishpacker Association thinks it's a great idea, which I had some concerns about, quite honestly, because a lot of their members actually own large facilities, right? But they thought that it was a good thing to do. So I've talked a lot. Is there any questions?
David? Oh,
Jimmy had to say that.
In regards to the electricity demand, would you see that we would put hand-in-hand a biomass plant adjacent to this to provide energy to keep the cost down? And if so, or if not, we'd have to have some type of an energy backup system if the power was to go out.
Oh, yeah.
So you'd have to have UPS of some type.
Sure. I think typically these kind of facilities have like propane backup, but the primary, in answer to your question, I think it would make absolute sense to have some kind of renewable energy to make it viable.
Right. But you'd also include in the plan, though, a UPS system as well? Like you said, propane backup or whatever.
Sorry, what's the UPS system?
Uninterrupted power supply.
Oh yeah, you have to have that for a cold storage facility, otherwise you lose everything. And
So that's what I mean. So
world's largest and shortest clean.
I'd want to see that in the plans, like of the construction plan.
Yeah. That's right.
David?
I have a question. If we spend, say, $100,000 on man hours for this, I know there's lots of other benefits, but would we be able to, would there be some mechanism for us to get back that $100,000 or anything like that? Or just throwing in an example?
Yeah, you're actually quite close. I would estimate that depending on how much a subcontractor like Stantec or Lindsay charge, I think that this project is in the $50,000 to $75,000 range. Okay. Part of my idea would be to use the student cooperative education program to fund the research assistant. Okay, there would be a component of contribution required for that, and depending on what rate I could negotiate with government on funding, I would actually be prepared to consider absorbing that myself if I got the rate I needed from government. So that way there would be no additional contribution required by the DDA or the municipality. That's my hope.
Just your own hourly wage. Okay.
Or, oh, sorry.
So, th-
looking for funding would be throughout the period of this study.
so we wouldn't get the wages back or anything like that, but we would, just checking if there was any
Yeah, no.
mechanism for that.
In actual fact, Councillor, this project would be heavily weighted, with my time, it would be heavily weighted towards the front end, like getting it going. And then once all this data comes in, I would be required to work evenings and weekends to get this put together, because just by, like 200 processors that you're gathering data from. And so I would be asking government to fund that.
Okay.
The additional time.
Thank you.
George?
On the agricultural side, have you talked to any of the mink ranchers or the association with their feed kitchens? Do they require a lot of storage? They have their own.
Don't know, but they are on our list to talk to. I had a meeting with the regional government agriculture people, and I asked them, please tell me who we should talk to. But certainly mink in our area. I would hope there'd be some sense for it.
I would hope they'd be talking to some of the Mullins. Well, Lindsay, isn't it Lindsay's got the biggest farm?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not only here, he has PEI and up the line.
Feed kitchens, I think, supply the feed.
Yeah, wouldn't he be part of that?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think what,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, just going to interject a comment. I think what this offers people really is flexibility, okay? We heard seafood producers say, you know what, if I'm negotiating with a buyer on a product, if he knows I can't hold it and I have to sell it to them, I'm not going to get as good a price as if I can say, no, I don't want that price, and I had someplace to put it, right? So people are getting beholden, and this really, in turn, affects their profitability and their ability to reinvest in businesses. Right? So, sorry, I have something up there.
David and then Kevin.
Just a couple, just maybe ideas. I don't know, seaweed. I know there's a bit of industry. I don't know if that requires refrigeration in anywhere in the project or in its cycle. Periwinkles, clams, cherry stones, things like that. And for my own self, I couldn't find anywhere to put 300 pounds of rose hips.
Rose hips,
For
I
thicket.
knew
I
you
did. I knew I'd find a way to stick that in there. I got a spot for a week when somebody else had bait coming in. So a friend of mine let me use it for a week, and then I was able to sell it. There's probably more than you'd ever think of uses for that, I would think.
So. Like I say, the province thinks that this is really like a very good thing to do. We've heard stories that even like Bragg, Oxford Frozen Foods, is storing their products in that Surrey facility, which is just crazy, that people would have to leave the province. I do know for a fact, from interviewing cranberry growers, that the crop goes, most of the crop goes from here to New Brunswick for storage outside of St. John. And that's just insane.
Yeah, it looks good for increasing our competitive advantage from the basis, based.
And if you store it here, maybe someday somebody will invest in a value-added type facility, which is what we typically need, right?
Yeah.
Rose hip.
Jimmy?
One of the other places too that we haven't discussed is look at St. John, New Brunswick and see what demand there would be over there for this also, because they're
Very
Yeah.
and we do lack of facilities. So
I actually have a contact with Enterprise St. John back from Meredita's day, and we're still connected. So I think they could, hopefully.
Question, would part of the study include a governance model or like suggestion of who would actually build it, own it, how it would operate, would it cost, considering municipality actually building it?
Yeah, I think from a very high level, one of the questions that we would ask people would be, A, are you open to using a third-party facility? But I think, too, would you be interested in investing in industry-run facilities? I think that would be the question. I suspect you're going to get a lot of maybes, but I do know when I see people with 3 and 4 reapers in their yard that they probably have the money to contribute to something like this. Short answer, yes. I think the governance options would have to be explored.
Any other questions?
What percentage of your time of the 22 hours a week would you foresee for how long would that be used up? Like, as we all use them for other things, any?
But that would be something he would discuss with
With-
Linda.
Okay,
That's not,
Well, actually, that's why we're here, is to actually get council's permission for approval on concentrating a percentage of those hours to the project.
so what percentage of those hours do you suspect?
only 90.
What?
Quite honestly, it's going to be irregular, but if you were to average it out, I think that the project is probably like a 4 to 6 month project, like quite honestly. And what I would suggest, because in consultations with the CEO, I think there's a sense that you want some flexibility to deploy my resources for other things as they come up. Right?
Well, I think, yeah, I think it's very important to continue part of the business mentoring that you've been doing.
Sure. So I'm suggesting somewhere like half, 2/3 overall. And between you and I, like if I get the extra hours funded through government, well, that would, at times I'd be able to put even more than that, right? It's highly irregular. I'm not trying to be vague about it, but it's that type project, I think.
Yep.
So we can figure up to 2/3.
Okay. I look for Dan to come down in the fall, talk to the
No.
forest groups again. Sure. Nope. Don't want to overextend you.
He can't go past Sandy Cove. Is there any other question? At this time, I think you've heard the work plan. Would someone like to approve?
I make a motion to approve having DH Services work on a work plan for cold storage facility.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Perfect.
Good job, Dan.
Wish me luck with the funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Since there's no further business, would someone like to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a seconder?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
I really gotta
Drive
stop.
home. Sure can. I'm not gonna get him. I don't want it back.